Hey everyone, this is Jazz Paladin here. A little bit of a different format for me today, but I just had something I wanted to talk about with all the people who are sax players or other types of musicians who are looking for information on this little toy here. This is the Roland Aerophone 30 Pro, and I gotta admit, it's one of those instruments I've been wanting to try for a while. It's relatively new, but it was really hard for me to get. It's really hard to find because I'm in a country now that's kind of a little bit reclusive and slow to get things, and I don't want to get into that. But anyways, I finally ended up getting a hold of one of these because I'd been using an Akai electronic instrument, the 4000S, and I've used a 5000 and other things like the older Yamaha X5. And, those things were good for the time. They had some issues with them, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth, but I definitely felt like the 4000 from the Akai wasn't cutting it for me, and was looking for another step up. And I'm going to talk about this Roland device here just because of the fact that it is different, and it is much what I was expecting. It's a steep price, okay? $1,600 or $1,500 US dollars, and if taxes and all that stuff, it ends up being a hefty price. But the newest entry from Yamaha has about $1,000 asking point, and it didn't look nearly as good. I mean, it had a cool thing like a real reed and mouthpiece you could stick on there, but in terms of functionality, this one has a real MIDI output. And one of the things I cannot stand about controllers is when they don't have that, because, all the cheaper USB stuff, I've had a lot of things happen when that port breaks off, and I'm tired of it. I don't want to deal with that. It was worth an extra $500 or so, for me to have that stability, if the instrument ended up being good. Otherwise I'm tossing it, and, selling it on the market. But I wanted to get something that was going to be really stable, and the Roland's got the Pro name in it, so hopefully it'll live up to that standard. We'll talk about it. So what do I like about this? So I gotta admit, I've been using the Yamaha WX5. Probably had one of the coolest original. It has mechanical keys, and from that standpoint it was great. But the problem with that for me is that it eventually had this little buttons underneath the keys that kind of would stick for me. And that one of the things that was the biggest turnoff for me was that. It always needed an external module for running sounds, and it also, the mouthpiece itself and the breath sensor was not really fast and accurate. I needed that for some of my synthesizers and things that I work with, and one of the things that doesn't cut it for me with the original Yamahas was it wasn't receptive enough in that area. So the Akai, now, it had a funky sort of mouthpiece, not like a saxophone mouthpiece, but it's a rubber thing, and it had some cool things about it. It could let you do all sorts of things at once with it, getting growl and vibrato and all these things at once. And it had one thing I liked about it is it had good resistance, where this one, this newer one, air kind of goes through it, so you can't really sustain it as much. But the other thing was about the Akai was it did not use mechanical keys at all like this. These are buttons, and the Akai kind of had this electrum. You basically use a galvanic skin response, so basically kind of like conductors, and whenever your finger got close to that and touched it, you didn't even have to press down on anything. Just your finger coming into contact or brushing up against that note would automatically trigger a response. And for those of us who are used to saxophone, that's a big no-no. You're used to having your fingers over something just so you can have them in the right position or at the right time when you need them, and you can't really do that with the Akai. Just glancing your fingers on them causes you to hit all sorts of wrong notes. And in addition to that, the Akai had these weird, funky, and even the Yamaha had some funky octave mechanisms. This one, I gotta say that I like the octave mechanism. This one's a bit better than both. The Akai had these rollers. I could not stand them because you cannot do really seamless octave jumps and transitions. So I was really in the mood for something new. It was a lot faster breath response before for the Akai, compared to the Yamaha, but the unpredictability of playing it when jumping around all over the place with octaves, it was a big hassle. So I finally decided, and when this new Roland came out, to basically it's a sink or swim type of situation. I had to kind of like, is it worth the money? Do I just kind of like drown with what I have, and or just so. Anyways, let's talk about this. Now, this one has one thing I liked about this one when I first checked it out, the demos online. This thing was built in with some of Roland's killer sounds, and the Yamahas were just really sounding really god awful. So it's this one, I gotta say, now first of all, the acoustic instruments like the saxophone sounds that are built in and the trumpets and this ones that are built in really aren't that great. I mean, you're not getting it for that. You're basically getting this one for the synths. Some of the bass instruments are cool and some of the effects, but if you're expecting like you're getting a real saxophone sound of this one, this is not what you're getting it for. You're getting it for those synths and the ability to control your computer, which, bottom line, this is the best controller that I've used. Now, it does have some caveats, and I'll talk about those once first of all, you might notice this little bit of tape here. Everybody you might see about on the internet that's reviewed this or talked about it pretty much says that the D palm key really was not well designed. Okay, first of all, it's way too short. So I kind of had to do a little bit of a makeshift thing here. What I did, and there are more permanent solutions with this, but I don't want to void the warranty and stuff like that. So basically, I did something that's going to be temporary. I can easily pull off. You put some tacky glue. I put some tacky glue on here, and then basically put some masking tape around it. So basically, gives it that more of a button here to put in, so that way it actually. You can actually access this key when you need it. Before, it's just way too awkward. Some other keys I might think about doing that with too. But overall, still much better than the other units I'm used to. The other thing is that, regarding the controls, is that there's really not a whole lot of complaints about them. Compared to what I'm used to coming into, octaves still have occasionally the tendency to jump up here and there, but especially if you're not... If you are a sax player, you're not used to having access to a full range of like 5 octaves. You just have like 2 octaves, and then occasionally altissimo. But so if you're actually trying to go to a lower octave than jump to a regular one, it can be funky at first. It's a matter of getting used to. I'm still in the process of getting that, but it's definitely much better than the Akai and the Yamahas. So that's good. Let's kind of get into the feel of this thing. I'm going to start off with a couple samples here. I'm going to use the internal sounds that are built in for a little bit, then I'm going to switch over to my computer. So let's give it a try. Okay, so that one is a cool little, sorry, I just gotta remember to do something here. I didn't even turn on the recording, so let us try that again here. I'm sorry for that, you're not gonna be able to hear that first part, so. Okay, that's organ, pretty cool stuff here. Let's try something else here. Flute, maybe? That's cool, yeah. So, the violin, trumpet. Yeah, let's just kind of see how bad this soprano sax is. Okay, no, that's kind of, the sax is, yeah, I don't like the way this one's kind of working out here. Synthesizers, okay. not coming out here. Let me try changing something on this. Hard lead. Come on. Let's try it. It's modulated. Oh yeah, another cool thing about that, so you actually can do chords and stuff on here if I push the right button here and kind of go over. Yeah. So let's see here. UFO. It was kind of loud on that one. I might have overloaded my converters there. Anything else I can kind of do here? And just gonna do a couple more here. I don't have all the time in the world here, but I'm trying to find maybe a bass instrument here or something, because that's kind of funky and cool what you can do with the bass settings here. Let's see here. Bass. Oh, there's another cool sound I like here. See here. Yeah, I like this one. Hold on. So this is kind of called the Jap Scat. Let me turn off the. So that's one of my favorite ones to play around with. But there are really hundreds of sounds on this thing. It's really kind of a matter of trying the ones you like. I couldn't quite find the patch for the basses just quite yet here. It does have some really cool bass that you can kind of do on this one. Just pulling that up here, see if I can maybe find it. Acoustic bass, maybe. Okay, so that's kind of my quick demo. I don't have all the time in the world for that, but I wish I could kind of show you more. Bottom line is, this is really, really good. I'm having a lot of fun composing my new Secret Mana stuff on this here. Let me do one more quick thing actually here. I'm going to set it up for the MIDI mode so it hooks up only on my trumpet here. But so I'm kind of working on Secret Mana stuff right now. Let's kind of wait. Okay, I put it on my preset for that. I forgot about. Let's see here. It's user preset. So right now I'm basically switching it off to my preset for trumpet. So that one's hooked up to some computer software for that one, which is what I use for trumpets. You know, so this is really a fantastic controller. It can actually growl with the trumpet when I want it to. If I have it programmed here. So it's got this cool little thumb button, which is awesome. Another complaint I do have about it is that next to that thumb little button here is kind of like not a mod wheel, but yeah, it's like a trigger bend wheel, and it's kind of placed far away from your thumb. So that's the one thing I don't like about it. I wish it was more accessible. I might end up sticking some sort of putty on there to make it, just a little bit easier to reach. But other than that, I do recommend making those modifications for sax players. You've got to do it. You've got to make it really more accessible. It's got this spit drain valve on the bottom, kind of like a trombone player, so you can kind of, if you ever felt left out, not being able to, weak instrument and fluid onto the floor, well, there's your chance. Comes with a cool gig bag, about $1,500 US, and if you're into music now. Okay, another thing, Web, actually, it comes with these cheap internal speakers. Okay, if it does not help the perception of the world that this is a professional instrument when it's got these internal speakers that sound like a Fisher-Price toy. I mean, I don't know why they even put that on there, so don't even use it. Just hook it up to headphones, hook it up to PA or studio monitors, and you'll be set. So, that being said, these are my thoughts and impressions. If you have any questions or anything about the unit, feel free to look me up on Facebook, sending me a message there, or YouTube here. And I'm looking forward to doing some more music for you guys. I've got, like I said, Secret of Mana in the works and Wild Arms, so stay tuned. Those are going to be coming.